hip hop scene in Knoxville is really, really, really like vast. You have people who make really soulful music. You have people who make really, really hype music for like the clubs around Knoxville. You have people who are into the older hip hop like myself. There's pretty much everything you can think of when you want to hear something hip hop that comes out of Knoxville. The only problem with Knoxville is that we don't have the resources that a bigger city like New York or Atlanta would have. And as of that, it's kind of like all these great artists are stuck performing into the same spots, which are now closing down. And so it's kind of like you have all this talent with nowhere to go. When I was a kid, I got a Eminem CD, and I think hearing that as like every probably kid around that time, they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome, I want to be a rapper. So pretty much once I heard that CD, I was like, I want to be into hip hop, and it just grew from there. I started listening to more and more music, and then which made me just want to write my own music. Then once I started writing my own music, I wanted to get it played. So once I figured out how to get my music played on radio stations, I wanted to do radio as well. So it just led on from there pretty much. My stage name is Young Freeman, and I got that name because of my older brother. I was kind of, I guess, hanging around with him and his friends. So I guess a lot of people called him Freeman, and I guess he was the older Freeman. So it was just came upon me one day, like it'd just be funny just to, I'm the young Freeman kind of guy that everybody knows in our family. So my first experience that I ever had with hip hop DJing was whenever I did my radio show at this place called WOZO here in Knoxville. It's a low power FM station, and it was actually located out of the first place I also performed at musically. So I got in touch with these people after being inspired to do my radio show in the first place, and they welcomed me with open arms, and I got to just sit in this little rinky-dink little room that they just set up full of just radio stuff, and it was, it was great from there on in. Yeah. I was in a group that me and my friend Colin Jackson started called Free Greens, and that was back around maybe the early 2010s up until like 2016. And we worked together, and we just came up figuring out how to do music together. And then now I'm in a group called The Products, and that was started around, I'd say 2021, 2020-ish. And we've been making music and doing shows all around the world, well, all around the US ever since. I think one of the most recent setbacks that I've experienced in the hip hop industry and the radio industry is the cancellation of our radio station that the University of Tennessee just recently did. And ever since then, the radio show is up in the air. Myself and other artists, that is our main way of showing people in the city local artist talent. And without that, we don't really have an outlet. If I had to tell my younger self something about a challenge that I overcame, it would probably be just getting out there onto a stage in the first place and just believing the things that I want to say on a microphone that other people are going to want to hear as well. And I took that chance like a lot of other artists do, and it turned out to be true, at least some a little bit. I think where I see myself in 10 years in the hip-hop scene here is hopefully still making music and performing the music as well, but also helping younger artists figure out, ways that they can get their music out there, whether it be performing on stages or going through radio shows like my own or others. And I think if I can figure it out myself, that it'll make it 10 times easier for the next person down the road. If if I had to give some advice to somebody who's trying to get into the hip hop DJ scene, I would say is study the music. Go as far back as you possibly can. Figure out where the stuff came from and what music they played, because once you do that, you're going to figure out that all these things that were played a long, long time ago are things that are still incorporated into music today. And I think the more knowledge you have of that, then the more musical knowledge you'll have of actually mixing in and out songs and so on.